you can read all your regular in-depth content presented in captivating graphic design on your phone at the click of a button. Complete Sports goes completely digital and it's completely free. Download Telegram app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Join the Complete Sports Telegram channel. Receive your free copy of Complete Sports and Complete Breaking News Daily. It's completely free. Complete Sports, Nigeria's #1 sports daily since 1995.
Shagway is really an artist these days. He's untouchable in that right flag. Shagway is still going. And it's in the net. It is in the net. Goal number 3. Incredible.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. The best sports. The best station. The best for you.
Within one.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. Fly with us.
This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM.
As we all prepare for the big day on Saturday, on the Sports Parliament, we are hoping that the breath of fresh air that is blowing gently over Nigerian sports at the moment will extend to our national elections this Saturday. But for tonight's show, we are presenting trailblazers in Nigerian sports, gentlemen who are working quietly and successfully to present the blueprint of a new era in sports development to the new government after the elections. These are very, very special Nigerians, and they will be sharing their story and their experiences with us as they continue to blaze the trail in sports organizing and development. I am truly excited. I am Segun Odegbami, speaking to you and coming to you live from the studios of Eagle 7 Sports Radio. I am in Lagos, and you can watch us on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And of course, you can listen to us also, everything online and global on eagle7fm.com. That's online. And on our terrestrial radio station, you can get us on 103.7 FM if you are in the outer Lagos and Abeokuta environment. Sitting with me tonight are the doctor in the house. Kweku Tando, you are looking really, really good tonight, as usual anyway. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the compliments. I'm trying to look as good as Ene.
Yes, Ene is joining us tonight. And Nefiok Udo Obong, the legend we call him on this show. You know, one of very few Nigerians of our population. I don't know how many we are now, really, but over 200 million Nigerians. And he's just one of, a handful that have the Olympic gold medal around their necks. So, Ene, welcome back, man.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. I am very, very glad and honored to be back here on the Sports Parliament.
Fantastic. And of course, we shall be having other parliamentarians join us when we come back from our break. And that's when you'll be meeting all these superhuman Nigerians who are doing a terrific job after the break.
After 27 years as a print publication and 17 years as a website, Complete Sports, your #1 daily sports newspaper, is going completely digital. Now you can read all your regular in-depth content presented in captivating graphic design on your phone at the click of a button. Complete Sports goes completely digital and it's completely Free! Download Telegram app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Join the Complete Sports Telegram channel. Receive your free copy of Complete Sports and Complete Breaking News Daily. It's completely free! Complete Sports, Nigeria's #1 sports daily since 1995.
Welcome back. Well, if you are just joining us, you haven't missed anything yet. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio. You can watch us on Facebook at Eagle 7 FM, Instagram, the same thing at Eagle 7 FM, YouTube, the same thing at Eagle 7 FM, and Twitter at Eagle 7 FM 1037. And of course, on radio online, you can reach us on eagle7fm.com. Okay? I have terrific guests in the house. These are people that I have known all my life, all of them. The first, who is the real trailblazer in the business of sports in Nigeria. He is one of the foremost sports marketers in the country, in fact, in Africa. And when it comes to events, organizing, and management in Nigeria, I think he is ahead of us. He's been here for donkey years, handling football. That's what we knew him for. And then 5 or 6 years ago, he went into this event that just got a global status rating, and that's the Okpekpe International Road Race. I'm talking about Chief Mike Itemwagbo. Mike, how now? Good evening.
I do, Egbon.
I never ever see you for television. I never hear you for radio in this kind of full-fledged interview. Now, wow, good to see you, man.
Yeah, you see, when your elder brother, I would have called you my daddy.
Get out, my friend. Get out, my friend. What are you talking about?
When you give me a privilege like, well, thanks be to God. Thanks. Well.
And of course,
so my pleasure.
The guy who has just come after, he came after Mike. He came after me too. But the man is ahead of all of us now, because I just don't know how he keeps pace with the projects he's going into, and he's just conquering the whole country. And I think probably he may be the biggest sports marketer in Nigeria today. I'm not so sure, but I think he is. Former commissioner for sports in Ogun State, and my respected chief of Egbaland, Chief Kola Olopade. He's in the house. Ozo. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good evening, viewers. And I'm highly honored to be joining in with my mentor, Chief Mike Itemwagbo, one of the few people that mentored me into whatever it is today. Of course, including you, Chief.
No, stop. When we come back on your shot, you are looking great. When we come back on your shot, you must turn your telephone or your whatever mobile device, profile-wise. Okay, now it looks perfect. It looks perfect. And the third person we are going to be talking about is, of course, one of our own, and we all know him. One of very few Nigerians that, wear around their necks an Olympic gold medal. You can count them on your fingertips, at least as individuals, apart from the 1996 Super Eagles that we are 22 that also have Olympic gold medals. I'm talking about the legend himself, Enefiok Udo Obong. He is somebody who has been spearheading grassroots athletics development for a couple of years. But recently, he just took a giant stride. And that's in organizing the first Lagos Club Athletics Championship that I think is going to be something else. It's just going to take athletics to another level. So let's meet Enefiok again.
Good evening, Mr. Good evening, Mr. Speaker.
What happened to your beard? What happened to your beard?
That was COVID induced. Now I think we are returning to normal. I'm highly honored to be in the. I'm seeing the names here. I do not know if I was the wrong channel, but I'm seeing a lot of my mentors and my and my leaders. So I think I'll have a lot to learn. I don't think I'll do a lot of talking. This will be a learning session for me, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Fantastic. It's going to be a learning session for all of us, including myself. And finally, we have all the way from his base in Miami, Florida, the one who has magnificently combined academics with sports. And now he's blazing a new trail. He's on an ambitious and very audacious project that may transform Nigerian tennis for good. He's daring to do what we have failed through almost 3 decades, to lift the level of tennis above the ground level. I'm talking about Professor Sadiq Abdullahi. Prof, how now? Prof, unmute.
Yeah, I'm honored to be back on your program. This is a special occasion for me to be here. Thank you very much for invitation. And then nice to see all of the gurus here today.
Yes, this is a great, great assembly, I tell you. And, you know, the world for the next 90 minutes would just, you know, listen to some of the best brains that we have when it comes to not just the sport itself, but we are talking of the business of it. And we shall be hearing their story, we shall be looking at their works, and they'll be helping us to project into the future, because that's very, very important. From Saturday, we are going to start to see glimpses of a new Nigeria. That's my own belief, that things are hard, you know, there's no money, there's no this, there is no that, but we need to pass through this crucible of fire, this hard period. And when we come out of it, Nigeria will never be the same again. And we have people who will be blazing the trail in our own sector of sports, which should be in the forefront of all development in Nigeria from 2023. That's the vision that I have. Let us start with Mike Itamago. Mike, how now? Just a little story of this huge project, because that's what interests us. This Okpekpe, your village, Okpekpe International race. Just tell us the genesis of it and how you have managed. The question I'm going to add to it is how you have managed to do it outside of what we had all thought before was impossible. Government funding. Previously, to do any such thing, you would need government funding substantially, not just support, but government funding substantially. I read somewhere that somehow you don't depend on government a lot, even though they support you. Just tell us the story of this Okpekpe International race.
My born, you know, just like Ozo, I don't catch him, I've caught him and he has been dodging me. Ozo, MON, I think I have a very great respect for you. Even when I was growing up as a young man, and I envied you. You were a great influence on our lives, basically, especially when we were playing football then. When you were schooling, we decided that, you know what, let's also add degree to whatever we are going to be in future. And I'm happy that that shaped our path. Basically, you know, we have been in the forefront of sponsorship of the Super national teams of Nigeria. We've done all the basic FIFA events in Nigeria as well. And our business of sponsorship is about giving value. And Okpekpe is a creation of a new property, which we decided, you know what, at some point we may not be going with the federations, or we may slow down the federations. I mean, what is the new direction? Let's create property and begin to redirect sponsorship activity. You did mention that you don't find me on TV. Yes, because I believe that's the platform I give to my sponsors. Let the people that give me money be on TV. Me, I collect it.
You've collected all the money, Mike. You've collected all the money.
Kweku is there. He's my witness. He's a
consultant. Kweku is your consultant.
But basically, if I talk about Okpekpe Road Race, it was just a creation that came out naturally. My wife is not on I thought she would be on this Zoom. And I tend to give her credit a lot for the Okpekpe Road Race, because what happened there was that there were political debates where people were saying that they created a road from somewhere to nowhere. And it became an issue. And we said, listen, if everybody begin to create somewhere from somewhere to nowhere, then with that nowhere, let us convert it to a global center. So that's how it came. So, okay, since the political people were saying that, why will a government create a road from somewhere to nowhere? So our objective was now to be turn that nowhere to somewhere, even bigger somewhere. Wow. And that's how this creativity came about, so that we begin to create all these rural areas to begin to be a center of attraction for both unborn children today and tomorrow. Now, you said my village, which was one of the most difficult decisions I had to take, because it was my own village. Even though I was not born, I didn't grow up there. I felt that it would be bias of me to be doing such in my village. My wife is not from my village. She's from Benin. And on a very morning, she said to me, listen, my husband, if you do this thing, forget about you, but think about the children unborn, what it will impact on them. It goes beyond you, go beyond everybody. Let's do it for the children and for the youths to grow. It's very interesting. You see that, like Moses Praise, I was talking to him today. He comes there, he's on the stage, and the old children are gathering. It interests you to find out that you see one Oyibo man standing, 20 people are saying, let's take, short and what have you. So the objective is that there's no difference between the civilized world and the local world. It's just exposure that brings it. And don't also forget that sponsorship is about below the line. And and below the line and above the line. And above the line is about television, like we're doing, the media. So basically, if we can sit here and be watching Premiership that is taking place in Scotland, in UK, all of us are glued to our TV. Yes, we can do any event in the world, in any village or hamlet, as long as it is put on above the line. Wow. I'm sure your program today, people are viewing it from all over the world. That's what sponsorship presents. Only sponsorship asset can give you that great opportunity for both sponsors, because sponsors are looking for eyeballs. And what else would they need? Why waste money to be sponsoring Premiership alone? Why don't you sponsor Okpekpe Road Race or Ijebu-Ode Race? So we're trying to change the narrative and to bring this sport to the closest level for our people. So let me stop for now.
Fantastic. Look, just listening to you, I know that people in rural areas all over the country, at least in Nigeria, would have taken a lesson from you. Look, when you mentioned Wasimi is my village. 20 years ago, nobody knew anything about Wasimi. But today, once you just Google Wasimi, the first thing that comes is Segun Odegbami, is the sports school, is this, is that. That's what sport does for you. You have just mentioned it. I never heard of Okpekpe before you brought this international race. Now there are several countries that come to participate in your Okpekpe race. Let us go to the octopus. That is Ozo. Ozo has become an octopus. It started with Lagos. He went to Abuja. He went to Abeokuta. The next thing I heard is in Jos. I don't know how this man does it, but give us your own experiences and your own lessons. Chief Olopade.
You're muted, sir. Unmute yourself.
No, he's not. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Chief Odegbami, my very good mom. For starters, for me, It was a very organic preparation for what it is today. And it started from when I was commissioner for youth and sports. There were days I pinched myself working with people like Chifodek Mami Falatu Kukoya, Coach Akonde, Rashidi Yakini. And I thought having that time to spend with iconic people that I only saw on TV growing up. Then I met Mikey Temagbo during the Under 17 World Cup. And I saw he was mesmerizing in his way.
You're muted again.
No. It's the signals. The signals are a bit weak.
No, he's muted. He's muted.
No, he's muted.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you now.
We can hear you, but yeah, it's the signals in your place. Yeah, but go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
So in 2009, I saw the way Mikey Temagbo did his thing with FIFA. And so I started asking questions. I started talking to other iconic sports marketers like Ejiro Nomode and Michel Obi about how this thing works. Because I was already looking at life after government. Somewhere along the line, Chief Ogba told me about a FIFA program that tutors you on how to market your sports and how to create properties that can be huge properties for you. So I decided to attend that course immediately after government. Credit must also be given to Chief Ogba, who propelled me and pushed me to talk to the people in Lagos State. When in his words, he said it was travesty of justice not to have a mega road race in a mega city like Lagos. And I looked at it, looked at my connections, decided to talk to the people in charge of sports in Lagos. That was how we started the Lagos Marathon. But let me speak to the huge success we all are enjoying today with regards to sports marketing and how our various properties are leveraging on sports and on sponsorship. It is very simple. People like you, Chief Odegmami, people like Mikey Temagbo, you've blazed the trail and you've shown integrity. You've shown to the corporate Nigeria that there can be people in sports that can be trusted. Because one of the barriers I met when I started was people saying to us, nah, you all in sports are corrupt. We cannot put our money where your property is. So we decided to market our various properties according to the peculiarities of Nigeria. One of the first things we did at Nilayo was to say, you know what, guys, keep your money, hold on to your money. We'll tell you what we want to execute. Put your money to the execution directly from your offices. Let's build that relationship, quid pro quo, where we can trust one another, and we'll take it from there. The truth of the matter is that corporate Nigeria is very ready to be part of this growing phenomenon in Nigeria, to put money in sports. When I was the president of Nigeria Wheelchair Basketball, we raised over 500 million doing stuff with wheelchair basketball, such an obscure sport that nobody thought could raise money, simply because of that trajectory and modus operandi that we created. So the story for us has been good mentorship, albeit from afar. People like you, Kweku Tando, Mike Temagbo, Chief Ogba, all mentored me, and I was able to take that mentorship to so many young people who are the young brains driving Nilayo today. It's not the magic wand of Bukola Olopade, but it's the young people that we've hunted who are driving the business and taking us to El Dorado. We keep learning. For us, it's a learning curve. Nothing is settled yet. We keep doing all these races and other properties that we own the way we do it through the learning curve that we've created.
When you make your first $1 billion, I hope that's when you remember me and start to give me even 0.something%.
Give you some royalty.
But I must commend you. So let me now go to Enefiok. Because you suffer a different kind of prejudice. You are a legend when it comes to athletics itself. And the conversion from being an athlete to being a business person, I went into it and I know for how long I suffered before, in people's minds, they would now accept the transition. It is the same thing we suffer in administration. They say, oh no, because you are an athlete, you cannot be a successful administrator. Because you're an athlete, you cannot be a successful, sports marketer, and that kind of prejudice. However, Enefiok, you have started something now that is different, that is new, that is a no-brainer, that will succeed. In fact, last Sunday, we all saw the success. Tell us that story.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I really, really must, and this is not just because they are being here, especially Chief Bukola Olakpade. He's really directed me, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm in a peculiar position because I was an athlete, like you say, and I ventured into business. After my career, I started doing business, and I tried to mix that with administration. So I had to go to schools in Switzerland and in England to learn more about sports management and administration. But my whole life has been in this business because that's where I earn my daily income. But then the news had been, the comments have been around, especially within our athletics family, about the successes of Kwekwe race and more importantly, the marathon races that Elijah has been doing. And people keep on asking, how does that benefit us? But I look at it and I say that this is a business, it's a property, it's growing. It's grown from hundreds of millions and entering billions of naira now. And instead of asking, how does that benefit us? We should actually be asking, how can we learn from what they have done? If you feel that the marathon is not where our strength is, what are the key things that they have done to build the marathon, to make businesses so interested in it, and that we are not doing in our sports? And it was a two-edged sword because first I'm a technical person, being a qualified coach and being in the sport itself. So I was thinking, but there's a difference between being a technical person and being a business person. I had to think now that after doing some years in grassroots development, I have to start thinking that after this grassroots, how can we make this sport profitable? Athletics is one of the most difficult sports to market because it's a lot of, it's concerns a lot of statistics. There are 44 events. It's not just one event you can really put down. It's an individual sport. You can't really, who are you marketing? The winners change along the way. Even at the global level, you have the big icons, Usain Bolt, and once in a while, sometimes you may have 2 or 3, and they come in 2 or 3 years' time, a different one comes. So it's a very difficult sport to market. But I looked at what was happening in the marathon, and I said, now there is numbers in the marathon. And I looked at what's happening in football, and I said there's followership in football. Now, how can we bring these numbers and this followership to athletics and start seeing how we can develop athletics? So first of all, I needed to get an ally. I needed to get support. And I saw that in Mr. Solomon Alao, the chairman of the Lagos State Athletics Association. And I pitched it to him. I said, look, let us develop clubs. Let us develop a followership system. Let us try to put a competition in which the public can now identify with a club, and now meet the club, and we can now see how clubs can develop. And he put it down. I said, okay, so how do clubs come? What are the fundamentals? And I said, leave that. That's a technical aspect. We can develop athletics in a way that's widespread. We divide athletics into key identical areas, and then we make sure that points are scored based on the World Athletics ranking on those things. It sounded a little bit complicated, but sometime last year, World Athletics introduced what they call the Rooster Athletics, and that was trying to enable fantasy athletics in online and in gaming and everything. And I took that idea of bunching up events and bringing them together. And I'll give a very little example without going too much of it in a lecture. The 100, the 200, and the 400 are all sprint events. And I said, look, if we carry those ones and bunch them up, I will say this is band A. Any club can bring any athlete in this band. whatever your athlete result of your athlete in this band, we go to the World Athletics ranking system or the scoring system, give each result a score. The result that the one that has the highest score, we give it to your club. And it was just a simple thing. We started banding or bunching up similar events into bands, and then clubs could just bring 5 athletes, 1 in each band, and we have a complete team. And it became very excited. And it started generating a lot of excitement that this is a different thing. It's a league. And we said, okay, it's a league. It's not just a one-day event. It's a league. It's going to go throughout 4 days. And I saw that event of being a league because sponsors wanted something that could last a long time. My interaction with a lot of sponsors, how long is the event? When is it? Is it every 4 years? Is it 1 day? Is it 1 week? And when you come out to a league system, say, look, it goes out for 4 months, and there are clubs. People can identify with clubs. It even develops the club because the clubs were the developing parts of the and also allows the club to look for sponsors to sponsor themselves. So now sponsors can identify with clubs rather than identify with an athlete and not being able to take a big gamble. Their risk is lower. The gamble is less when you identify with the club, and it becomes like a football club. And we start having followers. Now it's just about 5 days after our inaugural event. We have already been seeing a media buzz of teams following one team, saying, I love this team, or this team had young people, this team had this. And we are seeing that, and it's an excitement that we hope that it will grow. It's just initial time. People have not started really understanding it. We hope that we can generate the media attention. We can educate people on how it is. Before you know long, that in our first edition, we had 24 clubs. Within 2 days of doing that edition, we have 16 more clubs writing us to join the league. Wow. So it's just, we are seeing that it's going to, as a matter of fact, we start zoning the clubs or we start doing the league table or Division 1, Division 2. So it's growing faster than we are even able to handle now. And we are thinking of how best for the next edition. Do we accept all the clubs, or do we allow the first edition run and win the prize money? And besides that, we had to make it more profitable. We had to look for sponsors to give us. Athletics generally has not been generating a lot of prize money. And some of the issues is that there are too many events and you're giving prizes to too many events. And we said, let us give prizes to the winning club. Let's bring up something that is 10 million naira, 20 million naira. And when we announced this, we didn't even have the money. We just announced it. And then people started getting excited. And as people were getting excited, I was going from pillar to post and begging, please give me 500, please give me 200, please trying to add up the money so that the clubs won't be disappointed. And so that's how it came. And the first edition was, wow, it was fantastic. It was streamed online. We had comments from World Athletics. It was accepted by World Athletics. We are even having the technical department of World Athletics looking at our scoring system and how they can adapt into a world club system that way. So it's already trying to generate what we expect it to do. So we're very happy about that.
And
so that's the origin of that.
Let me tell you, from concept to actualization, I have followed you. And when you see a good product, you know it. This your athletics club event is a no-brainer. It is a good product. And I can just take off the tarmac and start to soar very, very soon. Let us go to Sadiq Abdullahi, who is venturing into something that has not survived 3 decades of attempts. They have tried over and over and over to recreate that success of the 1960s, the 1970s, and the 1980s in tennis in Nigeria. And it has not succeeded. That used to be one of the glamour spots of Nigeria. We would go to the All Africa Games at that time, and we will go after our own event to go and watch Sadiq Abdullahi or Tony Moore, Bulus Husseini, and my good friend David Imonite, and of course the prince himself. I've forgotten his name now. Unduka Odizo. How can I forget? Yeah, the Duke himself, Unduka Odizo. These are guys who would go and watch during the games. We were together in Algiers, and I remember how I was supporting them so seriously with one small girlfriend who was sitting by my side. Anyway, Sadiq Abdullahi, now you have embarked on a new journey. An exciting one that is also exciting, very exciting to me. I heard it, I read it, and as I told Ene now, this is also a no-brainer. this is success almost guaranteed. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. Thank you again. The concept started after the 1988 Olympics, and we came back. Remember, we had 3 Nigerians at the Olympics, 1988. Nduka, myself, and Tony Moore. So after that, I began to come up, and I said, look, we have to do something about tennis in Nigeria. So that's how it started. Then, of course, I have to try to pursue my education so that I can become very solid to allow me to be able to get to where we are today. This is where we are today. You're correct. For the last 30 years, we've been trying. My mentor, Father Adijimo, has been trying very hard, to get all of us to come, and do something about it. That was in the back of my head. So now that I'm coming to the end of my professional teaching career, I felt the need, that yes, it is time to come back home, and then put this program together. The program is called Tennis Vision 2035. And the idea behind this vision is that, look, within 10 years, which is science tell us that, look, if you have a very well-planned, you just mentioned, well-conceptualized, good design and good implementation, right, and other factors, then in 10 years, you'll be able to, produce good players. So we've come to that point, and I'm very glad, that yes, a lot of people don't know this yet, that I've been talking to you on this project for the last 12 years, when in 2008, and you said, Sadiq, where have you been? And I told you I've been hiding, going back to school to develop capacity, right? So because I graduated with my doctorate degree in 2004, so 4 years later, and I reach out, and you were the first person, and I said, wow. And since then, we've been talking and talking and talking, and now, and this is where we are, and we are going to collaborate. In fact, this program it's a residential program, is going to be anchored at SOCA. We're gonna, when I come in summer time, we're going to launch it officially, where we'll let Nigerians know that, look, it is going to be a collective effort to develop a tennis player, because we know that tennis is very expensive, it's individual, right? So we needed to keep these young, talented players in one place. We'll give them education. I'm a curriculum designer. I teach teachers how to teach and all of that. We're going to bring that. So SOCA, your academy, became an idea. So I've been keeping this, and I said, look, if we can now have a place where students come, from the primary level into the secondary level, into or the academy level, and then identifying them, find them sponsors, train them scientifically, because we know in tennis you have to be on the 10 to 15 hours a week of intense training, right? So we know that. So we are ready, and SOCA, your academy, we're talking to the management now and how that is going to work. We believe, that yes, the sponsors, the marketing, and all of that will become a lot easier, because now they can people can identify with it, and then we can now be going through SOCA, to get to get to the next level. So we're going to have feeder program. We're getting to the coaches are coming in, but all of that will be iron out when I come in June, to now sell the program, to Nigeria. And of course, if we can, then SOCA, the academy, become the hub of where talented tennis players can come and get an education, and then of course, and then move on to the next level. In the program also, we have a program where the most talented will now come, to US and stay here, where I am, and continue, the development, right? So we're going to have some affiliated schools here. They're looking for players all over. They're looking for players at the college level. They're looking for players at the high school level, right? So through soccer now, we can begin to get them, and then more people can come. It's going to be a national program. It's going to be very selective, program. People will expect that at least states will sponsor, individuals will sponsor, 2 or 4 players that are talented, that will take them and then camp them and then monitor them and then give them all of the things that they need, from a very young age. So I'm looking forward, to that when we meet in June, to now finalize how we're going to approach this.
Fantastic. This is, as I said, this is a no-brainer. This is success almost guaranteed. And I'm so glad that we've had 4 successful packages, 4 successful gentlemen, well-read gentlemen, true professionals in sports who are piloting these 4 different projects. So now I am done in my own segment. Kweku Tando is there. Ene can ask himself a question if he likes. And of course, Satish has joined us from London. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, Kweku can now start making his own contributions and asking specific questions, and then we'll just go on from there. Okay, after this short break, let's meet again. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, bringing you the Sports Parliament.
After 27 years as a print publication and 17 years as a website, Complete Sports, your #1 daily sports newspaper, is going completely digital. Now you can read all your regular in-depth content presented in captivating graphic design on your phone at the click of a button. Complete Sports goes completely digital and it's completely free. Download Telegram app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Join the Complete Sports Telegram channel. Receive your free copy of Complete Sports and complete breaking news daily. It's completely free. Complete Sports, Nigeria's #1 sports daily since 1995.
Welcome back. This is the Sports Parliament. Kweku Tando, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honestly, I've been in a classroom, listening to 4 different perspectives of sports development. And interestingly, I've worked very closely with 3 of the gentlemen that have spoken today. And then that's Ene, Mike, and Buki. And I've also had very good discussions with Prof on 1 or 2 projects in the past. So I know these are people who are determined and they are focused. I'll start with Ene's project. And when I first heard about it, I remember I sent him a message that this indeed is a step in the right direction, because the building blocks of sports development, not just in Nigeria, but anywhere else, is this school and community system. And that's one area that we have failed to concentrate. We concentrate on the ultimate, that's at the top of the pyramid, National Sports Festival, National Youth Games, and all that. But who are the people that are actually supposed to go through the mill and end up at those national events? It starts from the community, it starts from the school system, it starts from the community clubs. And there's something that struck me, which I'm going to mention now, and Ene will have to pay me some commission on it. I remember when we were growing up in those days, we had sports clubs that were community-based. Ebutemeta Athletics Club, Palm Grove Football Club, Obanikoro Athletics Club, and all that. I'm thinking that, yes, in terms of possibly increasing ownership of these clubs and giving communities ownership of the clubs, it may be a good idea to also look at that community structure again and see whether some particular areas, because you'll be surprised that someone in Surulere will decide to say, okay, let me be responsible for taking care of Surulere Athletics Club or Festac Athletics Club or Ilupeju Athletics Club. I remember my dad at that time when we had the Ilupeju Football Club when we were all in school in the 70s. He bought the football boots for the club. Obate Joshua, who also was living in Ilupeju at that time, bought the jerseys because we were all members. So you'll find out that the ownership of the clubs and the sponsorship of those clubs are taken off you, and you are able to draw from the grassroots, from the community. That way, you may find that those clubs will last longer and funding of the clubs will not be as difficult. So perhaps it's something that you would like to look at as well. Secondly, when I talk with Uzo, honestly, there's a lot that Bukola Olopade has done. And one thing that strikes me, yes, he's done so well, gotten sponsorship, done a lot, gotten money from companies and all that. Two things strike me. Number one, it tells us, and again, this is also highlighted by what Mike has done at Okwekwe. It tells us that the trick or the anecdote to get sponsorship is determined not by the event itself, but by the content of the event. How well are you packaging the event? I know Buki and I worked very closely on the 2018 and 2019 Lagos Access Bank Marathon when I was chairman of the Lagos State Sports Commission. And one thing I noticed was that he had a checklist for everything. You know, what do the sponsors want? What am I going to give them? How am I going to give them? There was a checklist for every particular sponsorship package that he was attracting. That's number one. So that is something that we need to learn when we're looking at sports sponsorship. What do I have? Every sponsor will have a different reason to sponsor an event. So you need to look for what that company is looking for. What is their area of interest? What captures their fancy? Can I give that to them through this event? Or what event can I do that will satisfy their fancy? So there's a lot of work that goes to it. And I know Buki went back to school. Both of us, I know we did courses in Harvard and all that. He went to sports marketing. I went to strategic sports and all that. The other thing about what Bukola has done, which a lot of people have not yet appreciated, is the aspect of job creation and talent identification, not in the athletes, but in the group of Nigerians that have been working with him. I can tell you, maybe because I know a bit more, I know about 4 different young individuals that have, through the tutelage of working in various programs with Bukola Olopade, now own their own companies in various aspects of sports marketing.
Wow.
There's Damilola, there's Sheyi Johnson. All of them started and learned. And when you see the quality of the youth that work in these programs, then you will understand why at the end of the day, Bukola will be happy and come out and announce a lot of money. But those guys are really working. And he goes about to pick the best. ICT, marketing, and these young guys come together. And then he encourages them to develop to a point where some of them are now even like competitors. They've got to set up companies, which he helped them to even set up. There is knowledge transfer. There is knowledge development. And at the end of the day, those people that have gone through his tutelage are going to do the same things in different sports. And at the end of the day, Nigeria will be the benefit for it. So that's something that I think Bukola has to be credited for. He has trained a lot of young guys. I can mention 4. I'm sure Ene can mention many more, you know, who I know that they now run their own companies, sports marketing companies. And he has guided them, he supported them, he's linked them up, you know, and at the end of the day, Nigerian sports will benefit from it. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Satish, well, you have just joined us. I know you have been listening in. You may have a word or two to add to the conversation. Before I go back to Mike, I know Mike is listening in. But Satish.
Yeah. Well, so I have been listening in. I'm very interested to hear about the attempts to get entrepreneurs and investors interested in sporting events, and that is actually one of the most essential things that needs to be done if Nigerian sport is to be brought back to where it needs to be. Just to correct you slightly, I'm not in London. I'm actually in Cairo, and I was at the match between Egypt and Nigeria.
And Nigeria, wow.
Which some people, some of them have said that it was a smash and grab that Nigeria executed on unsuspecting Egypt yesterday, but whether it was or not is immaterial. You got what you needed. And the question now is, how are you going to build from there? What I did get from your coach is that already identified some players within his squad that he believes are capable of becoming Super Eagles, and has advised the Nigerian coach of such, and that he's limited it to 4 as a result of the match against Zambia. So I think you do need to keep watching and not just look at the performance and say, it was a terrible performance, we don't want to win like that. What you have to look at is, how are you going to build from it, and can you actually build from it? But once again, to go back to the sporting issues, what I would like to hear from the other speakers here tonight is, what plans do you have to bring more sporting events into Nigeria? And how do you see the communities of on all sides investing in Nigerian sport when, as Osasu and others have said, Dangote, who could make a great impact on Nigerian sport, is not interested in Nigerian football? That has to change. You can't have people with that kind of resources not being interested in Nigerian sport, because it is where now you have to look at it from the point of view that if you don't have Nigerian football developed strongly, then they're not going to be going abroad anyway. So what's the point of owning teams abroad if you can't actually develop the structures for enabling these players to achieve their potential?
Well, I'm sure that football, that should have spearheaded sports development and the business of sports in Nigeria, is actually not doing so. The other sports are the ones that have now become the flagship of the sports business in Nigeria. Somebody raised an issue about the marathon and that sport not being part of our own culture in Nigeria. That's not true. That's not true. I remember going to London once, and in front of my house during the London Marathon race, we all would come out and sit down there and watch as the athletes ran by. And there was a year we just sat there. There was this Nigerian athlete who was so popular all over Nigeria at the time, and he was part of the team leading the London Marathon at that time. I don't remember his name, Waziri Mohammed or something like that. And there were 2 or 3 of them that actually became, international marathon racers. They come from either the Plateau area or the Mambila area or the Adamawa area of Nigeria. We have them naturally in those environments. But having said that, Okpekpe would be an experience for us to look at. Mike, if you are still there, my interest. Mike.
Yes,
there with the Okpekpe International Race. I was reading part of that race today. I was reading some material on them, and I was amazed that you have nine different countries from Africa now consistently participating in that race and challenging our own to catch up, to do the catch up. So in the next phase, just as people have said, in the next phase of the development, we want to interest Nigerians to start to compete and win. So help us project into that future. using your experience in Okpeko, how Nigerians can benefit. We have the runners, we have the environment. Now the incentives are there, the event has been created, but of particular interest would be for us to see Nigerians at one point or the other at the head of that race.
Thanks, MON. First and foremost, you mentioned something about somebody said marathon is not part of our culture. That is very, very wrong in the first instance. Sport is a recreation. Sport is a platform. Not only unite people, it creates so much for you. It's a gradual thing that is coming up. I'm sure in the next few years, they will now find out that marathon is that day they will set aside that they want to really free themselves, free their head from all the pressures. Exactly. So as we are looking for a new government coming to power, hopefully they will understand that Nigerians need marathon that day that they will set aside, that is the day of sports. And secondly, let me talk about the Dangote and sports issue. Yeah. I do not think that Dangote Dangote is not an issue when it comes to football or sponsorship. Sponsorship is a function of demand and supply. When there's demand, you don't need sponsorship. Although when there's supply is higher than demand, you don't need sponsorship because you already have the market. But when you have so much supply, there's no demand, then you need sponsorship to drive the demand. Dangote has to do with what product is it trading in right now? Does it need that communication platform? Because today, you know that sponsorship and event is a function of the ban on tobacco and what have you. And rather than people going to take 30-second commercial advert like they do your program now, they want to directly sponsor that event. So I believe that I'm sure when Dangote refinery comes up and they begin to have different products, the products begin to see the need to take up sponsorship as a platform that can give them the required exposure. Now, talking about, again, the road race, the Okpeko and others, I've had some conversations with some governors that have said that I challenge them, build one road to one rural area. We would surely create an event there. Because to a great extent, we have a partner right now that we are trying to create even hospitality packages to bring in foreigners to begin to come and partake and create certain points where they can, tourist points. So we don't only go for hospitality when Qatar is only World Cup or when people are holding event. No, we must begin to create it here. And which is why if Nigerians all come out in Lagos Marathon, foreign people will come and become a tourist opportunity. Sport events are tourists. We cannot be saying that Nigeria is not welcoming people, Nigeria is expecting people when the events are not there to bring in people. Yeah. We have the people that did our timing, for example, when they had a break in the course of the race, they see how people are welcoming. Now we are saying, okay, can we create we have a lot of artifacts that arrive in Benin now, for example. Can we create, tourism around such a property or such a museum? Can we create some excitement in Lagos to arrive, when they arrive, what they can do? So I believe that sports event is the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
So just to, thank my junior brother, Olokpade, even though he doesn't share that dollars with me, I hope he gets me.
He will share with you again. Your pass all our own. Mike, your money pass all our own. How would you come and share your own again?
Olokpade came when dollar don't high. So he's doing a great job, and what Nigerians don't understand is that if any Nigerian take advantage of these races and able to get the required timing, they become a participant in any global event. So we are bringing this event to them in Nigeria, but they are not taking advantage to get the time. The Kenyans, Ethiopians, what have you, they are struggling to be on the World Athletics timing zone, so that there are countries you must invite. There are countries that must take part. So if Nigerians should take this marathon and this road running as a responsible participation team, they will begin to take part in global events as invited elite athletes. Thank you.
Now we have international athletes who come here, win our events, take our money and go away. They get all the experiences, their ranking rises and so on and so forth. NA just started the program, first program, and he had a couple of neighboring countries come to participate. I want him to tell us about that aspect of that your club athletics thing, because we have been thinking of integration in West Africa, social, economic, political, cultural integration of West Africa. And here you are with an event, first event, and you have brought in internationals from neighboring African countries. Just tell us about the experience so Nigerians can hear.
Okay, before I do that, Mr. Speaker, please just permit me to just put a point on the marathon issue. You see, you introduced this last part by saying people come and win our money and go, and I could see that the Nilayo chairman had a little laugh. Maybe he was expecting that you are coming for him, but not really. You see, we forget a lot of history in Nigeria, and marathon has been part of it, and we have been doing very well. And as a matter of fact, when Access Marathon started, Lagos City Access Bank Marathon, I decided to find out a little more about the history of what marathon had happened in Nigeria. And it took me to deep into investigation into something that happened 25 years ago. And that brought me this book, which I'm going to launch in 3 weeks' time. It's called In the Long Run, a story about a marathon in Nigeria, which internationals came and a Nigerian won. And he was locked up for winning. He beat the Kenyans. He was locked up. People have forgotten that story. They've forgotten the story. It took a lot of investigation.
Why was he locked up?
He was locked up because he won and they suspected that he cheated. The governor of the state suspected that he cheated. It's a sad story, Mr. Speaker. It's not as funny as it's a true story. The boy is alive today. He has told me his story. I have gotten all the documentation from the AFN. It happened 25 years ago. As a matter of fact, October 9, 1994, the pre-internet period. So it took a lot of work and a lot of investigation to find out every detail of the story. The sponsors of that race was Nestle for the Milo Marathon. And that race he ran and he was locked up was the last and the 10th edition. The marathon was stopped because of that controversy. The AFN was sacked because of that controversy. So everything has been documented here and it's going to be launched in about 3 weeks' time. But I just want to show you that we had that history. The boy from Plateau State, I went to his village in Pangshin, and that Pangshin region has in all our distance running national records are from one small village. Everybody from that village. So we have the history there. We have the talents there. We don't have the development. So soon we just have to start. I was so happy when I saw that the cross country took place in Plateau State. That is where the roots, the winners, and I don't have to look at the results to know that the winners will be from Pangshin, the village of Pangshin. I can obviously with 99% certainty prove bet that the winners are from that village. So we have a history that we have to check into and we have to look at. Marathon is a big thing, has been a big thing in Nigeria. It died. It's coming up again thanks to the road races that are coming up. So many of them coming up. And I tell you, in 5 years' time, we will start seeing a Nigerian winner at the Lagos City Marathon. We will. We are getting better and we're getting there. Now, to your question. Yes, we always try to bring our neighbors around. The president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria is also the president of the West African region. And more, it's now easier access to us. The free movement in ECOWAS states helped us. Last year, we did the youth inter-schools athletics competition. We had schools from Ghana coming to participate. So anytime we try to do something, we send invitations out to try and give it an international flavor. When this came out, the moment the prize money of 10 million naira was announced, athletes from and clubs from Benin and Togo started getting interested. And I realized that money is very, it's useful to them in their currency. And they feel that they lack the number of events, world-class events in which they can participate if they don't go out to Europe, go to France. So their local athletes are lacking competition and coming to nearby Nigeria, who is supposed to be the big brother and big of the region, to have a lot of competition. It's not far. It's nearer to come from Benin to Lagos. Is nearer than Benin to Lagos. So when they got that, they asked if they could participate, and I said, why not? Also, what they did was to join clubs. They were coming as a club before, I think because of finances, and they saw that there were a few Nigerian clubs where they can join and get a bigger team and more opportunity to get reward, and they joined the club. And they tell you that the club in which that we had the foreigners as a club leading the table now. They went home with over $500,000 naira over the weekend, and they are the ones at the top of the table, the Agroterra club. So it's even exciting to us. While we're not trying to give our money like Nilayo gives to Kenyans, we're not giving our money to Benin and Togo, but at least it is competitive. It is competitive, and the other states in Ogun, especially from Ogun State, who are a very strong team from Delta and from Edo, have already said for the next edition, nobody else is taking the money. They're coming with a very strong team. So we're very happy about that. That's cooperation. That is part of sports to make sure that our neighbors come together to give them international flavor.
But when we come back from our break, then we'll start to project into the future of all your different events, of all the different events you are handling. We want to project into the future to see, how much more you need to do, what you need to be able to do those things, the kind of support that you want from the public, and how you want to interest the public in all those different events after the break. Please get us Ozo, because I can't find him here on my radar, because I think he's there. Okay, after the break.
Shagway is really an artist these days. He's untouchable in that right flank. Shagway is still going, and it's in the net. It is in the net. Goal number 3, incredible.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. The best sports, the best station, the best for you.
Within one!
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. Fly with us.
Welcome back. This is the Sports Parliament. Believe me, it is the Sports Parliament, and it is for 90 minutes. So for the last part of the show, we want to start to project into the future. A new Nigeria is coming in, and these are the pilots, at least for sports, into that new Nigeria. Ozogula, I have to start from you. That Chief Bukola Olopade, we call him Ozogula. Dangerous striker on the wing. He used to wear the number 7 jersey, but he was a local player. Ozogula.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, number 7. You inherited my number.
Because, like I said, you are my iconic person, so it had to be a number 7.
Start to project for us.
Thank you very much. Very intriguing and exciting program so far. I want to especially thank Dr. Kwikutando for your kind words always, and for actually recognizing the aspects of what we do at Nilayo. But before I speak to the future of Nilayo and the business we do, it is also important that I react to the controversial issue of a few people who are not well educated on what we do with the road races across the country, from Mike Temagbo to myself to Tayo Kukwala, is that we've created platforms like Enefio rightly said. We've created platforms that I feel strongly that the Athletics Federation of Nigeria must leverage on to start to build champions on road running for Nigeria. Ours is a business of bringing good health suggestion to people, creating a lifestyle that is a growing phenomenon in the world. But secondly, the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, championed by the Lagos State government and all our sponsors, from inception, said we cannot just strategically allow these monies to be going away. We created what is unique in world athletics, a local prize money for our runners, in order to create enthusiasm and to encourage young runners to see that there is a future, there a wealth creation strategy to all of this and to create breadwinners. To a large extent, we have succeeded in doing that. We remain the only race, if I'm correct, with such prize money incentive. We also have the fun race, 10 kilometers, strictly for Nigerians living in Nigeria. If you come from diaspora, like my daughters cannot run in that race because they don't live here. That race is mainly for those who live here. Again, so that we can create a system that can churn out future champions. And I'm very proud to talk about the 12-year-old girl that won when Dr. Kweku Taloh was the chairman of the Sports Commission from Plateau State. 12-year-old girl. She has since gone ahead to win more than 6 other races that we've organized. She's won in Abeokuta, one in Ijebu, one in Remo. And when you talk about such initiatives, you think of the Palm family, Deborah Palm and Ilyasu Palm. They have become multi-millionaires. There was a particular time Deborah Palm came 6th. I think it was when Dr. Kweku Taloh was also the chairman of the Sports Commission. She came 6th, won the dollar money, and was the first Nigerian to cross the line female, also won the Naira money. And I can count from my head how people like Aliyu and the Palms have won over 10 to 15 million Naira in the last 4 or 5 years from running our races, including Okpekpe. These are incentives that have been created by event organizers to encourage Nigerian runners. The ball is in the court of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria to churn out champions. And I think this was what led the Honorable Minister in creating the cross-country that Nilayo sponsored alongside Premium Bank in Jos. We do not own that race. It was the initiative of the Federal Ministry of Sports and the minister himself. We only sponsored as a way of giving back where we have made so much and support athletics in some way. What is the future of vanilla sports? For us, we've always looked at innovative ways of diversifying the business, but we've also looked at so many different strategic ways of creating value for our sponsors. Many a times when we go out to do presentations, it is not always about what we want to do. It's also about a quid pro quo situation of creating a business accumulation of profit for our potential sponsors. So you never go look at us from the point of view of the cliche of putting a business in light of visibility. Visibility does not work anymore. For young viewers of this program, if you want to be a sports marketer, you must be ingenious, you must be creative, you must think of how you want to create value, business-wise, Naira and Kobo, pounds and dollars for your sponsor. And when you do that, it becomes easier for sponsors to support your property. We are looking at esports from Nilayo point of view. During the COVID era, we dabbled into it, did a lot of stuff. Again, esports is a sport that empowers and engages a lot of young Nigerians. And as far as we are concerned at Nilayo, young Nigerians must be empowered through sport. It is a veritable tool of empowerment. You know, when I hear about the GDP of Nigeria and the contributory agencies, and I hear people talk down on sport as not being one of the contributory agencies to our GDP, it infuriates me. I've had a discussion with people from the office of the Vice President, Minister for Sport. It is because I know authoritatively that cumulatively, when you look at what sport does with our employment ratio in Nigeria, you'll be gobsmacked. You'll be shocked at the number of people that this private sector contribution has created employment for in thousands, and we tend to underestimate it. So Nilayo, alongside other investors in sports, are planning to leverage on the new sports policy. We are sponsoring the police, we're sponsoring cross-country, we want to sponsor more events so that we can enjoy all the perks of the new sports policy that the Federal Ministry of Sport have created for us as a sports business. Beyond that, we want to see our Access Bank Lagos City Marathon become a platinum label. We are glad that next year we'll be hosting the first regional road running convention in Lagos alongside Access Bank and World Athletics. And NF Young and his friend Alessio Ponzi, are already working on it alongside a new card, somebody we've gone to head on in the person of Otonye Ewerima, a value added to Nilayo Sports Management. So many things that we are looking at. And
you are going to pay me. Ozogula, you are going to pay me. You are going to pay me for this massive promotion of I won't even call the name of that company. You have collected all the money.
We're also looking at working hard with Ogun State government to give a sports festival that is befitting of our country, again, through a private sector driven initiative. It is not true that the private sector doesn't want to put their money. It is not true they don't want to put their money in football. Like Mikey Temago earlier explained, when you bring value, the Nigerian businesses will support you.
Okay. Don't forget to support soccer. Sadiq Abdullahi, your final thoughts into the future. Sadiq.
Yeah, it's very simple. It is the same concept, the issue of partnership, the issue of marketing, branding, the new vision, and then, of course, bringing the community together. Dr. Tandon alluded to that earlier. So we're going to, use all of that and then try to sell it to Nigeria. So I'm looking forward, to that happening. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Any project in the future for us quickly?
I beg your pardon?
Project in the future for us. Yes.
First of all, I'm seeing that this fantastic four of ideas you've brought up here. It's wonderful. I'm excited about the tennis. I've never been more committed about the road running and the marathon. And yes, I must add that it has provided a lot of jobs for Nigerians. Even for me, it has given me an extra job. I never knew I was a commentator until I started doing the marathon. I didn't know I had a talent for that.
Fantastic.
So it's actually good. And I see even the athletic series, which we have started, to grow up and to become more professional and bring more successes to Nigerian sports. I generally just see positive things, everything, all the way through. Thank you.
Mike. Mike, are you still there? Mike, if you are there, I want to have your final thoughts. I saw Madame there earlier. I was going to say good night to her, but say good night to her for us. But your final thoughts, just project into the future for us very quickly.
Well, MON, the projection I can talk about is that when I listen to Olokwade talk and listen to Ene and all the contributors, it tells you that the future is great. And we can only be moving forward. I am sure that whatever we have discussed tonight and whatever thoughts, if we can grow further and use these thoughts to drive our sport, to come a long way. I'm happy that we have great collaboration, irrespective of who has event or who doesn't have event. The most thing is that we are bringing this activity to the doorstep of Nigerians. And do not forget, sporting activity is not just for recreation. It's also occupation. It's also engaging. It's also making our youth, even the bad good people you find that it's only during sport, you don't see all those things.
Put on your video so we can see your face for the last time, please.
My video is a bit dusty now.
Okay, go on.
But I'm just saying because I'm actually driving. I'm in the car now.
Okay. We kept you for too long. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying that I'm very happy with what has happened tonight, and with this kind of forum, we really go a long way to help our sports.
Thank you.
And again, I challenge you, any state government that wants to build roads in the rural areas. That's where we come.
Fantastic idea.
Me, I belong to rural areas. Olokwane belong to city. So, and that's why we are partners.
Fantastic. Satish, your final thoughts. Kweku will round off everything for us. Your final thoughts. Satish.
You have to unmute.
Satish, you're muted.
Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, we've had these discussions for quite a long time over a number of programs. I mean, it's good to see it being widened to cover what I'd call non-traditional sports. And that is essential in terms of the development of sport in any country. For example, the Olympic Games is the benchmark, not just because of its blue ribbon events, but because it covers so many different sports. And this is something essential in the development of a sporting identity. To give an example, South Africa had a policy of hosting major sporting events as part of its tactics to get people to visit South Africa and come regularly to the country and help develop its infrastructures, tourism, and its whole economic policy. This is something that can be done in Nigeria too. And it is interesting and important to see that the guests tonight have been focusing on not the traditional sports. It's not just about football, which is good and it's wonderful. So let's move forward to have these discussions of each of the sports, saying, what is it we want to see our communities, our financial communities and our government providing, and then talk to the government and say, this is part of your plan, because if it isn't, then you have to look elsewhere for the funding and support for the program. My final thoughts are, it will happen if you make it happen, and you're doing that.
Thank you, Satish. Kweku, now it's over to you to help us just round off everything. I've listened to a masterclass for the first time, a true masterclass in the business of sport. This should be a class in the Harvard School of Business. But Kweku, just round off tonight's conversation for us, if you can.
Thank you very much. I'll try my best. It's been a learning class for me as well. But I must say something. You know, when Mike and Ozo speak, you know, for someone like me that tends towards strategic planning and all that, I think I can say, maybe I'll give them a new title. You know, there are sports marketers all over the country, but there are very few sports developmental marketers. And wow. I think Mike and Ozo fall into that category, sports developmental marketers. For them, it's a little bit more than the business. It's also the development of the sports to the extent that the sport begin to run the business, not the business running the sports. So I've given the two of them a new title. The first set of sports developmental marketers in Nigeria. NS program is highly commendable, and honestly, it's what we should have been doing many years ago. And I must say that we must continue to encourage him in that project. The same thing with Professor Sadiq's project as well, which I'm a bit familiar with. We're waiting for him to come in the summer, and then we'll take it to the next level. We'll also need to talk to people like Ozo and Mike, even on your project, Prof, when you come in July. And I'll just end by saying something. In June this year, Nigeria will be hosting the first World Table Tennis Contender Series. Now, why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because of what Ozo and Mike have said. That event is one of the platinum series of the World Table Tennis Federation. That event started in 2013 as the Lagos International Table Tennis Open, started by the idea of Barrister Eniton Waheed Oshodi. I remember in that time we spent maybe like 5 million naira to start that event now. 10 years after, or 10 years after this year, it's now a World Table Tennis Contender event, the first one in Nigeria. Prize money alone is $75,000.
Wow.
Prize
Oh.
This is not a government event. Sponsors have taken it over for the past 5-6 years, to the extent that the World Table Tennis Federation has now taken it over as a world contender. So now people are going to be paying to come and play in Lagos. The first one is in June, starting on the 18th. That is the power of sports developmental marketing.
Wow. Dr. Kweku Tando, thank you very much. You didn't move a motion for us to adjourn. But
no, I'm not yet a speaker, but also is very familiar.
No, move the motion. Move the motion for us to adjourn for tonight.
Honestly,
and help us thank everybody.
This session has been fantastic. I think it started from last week when we had Modipe Oshikoya. Now we've had legends in sports developmental marketing. We must very big thank you to Mike Itemago, to my very good brother Bukola Olopade, to Ene Ofiong, sorry.
Udo Obong. Enefiok Udo Obong.
Yes, I remember the Obong.
And of course, Professor.
Fantastic. Prof, thank you very much. Prof is someone that has been determined to change the narrative, and he has not given up all these years. And I thank God that what you have been putting together will begin to come to fruition very soon when you come to Nigeria later this year. I want to thank everybody for the fantastic show we've had today. And I want to move a motion that Nigeria begins to identify, we've identified some of them, that Nigeria begins to appreciate some people that are working in the background, not in the limelight, that are working in the background to change the narrative of sports development in this country. And I want to move a motion that people like Mike Itemago, people like Bukola Olopade, Ene, Professor Sadiq, and even Mr. Speaker himself, please, that the federal government of Nigeria and Nigerians, as we begin to move into a new dispensation in this country, we begin to appreciate the efforts of Nigerians who are doing great in sports. I so move.
And include to that list, Dr. Kweku Tando.
Absolutely.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Not here to say nay.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah.
Shagway is really an artist these days. He's untouchable in that right flank.
Wow, thank you very much.
And it's in the net. It is in the net. Goal number 3. Incredible.
Eagle 7 Sports Radio. The best sports. The best station. The best for you.